All right, to buy a phone number, you're going to go to settings, then you're going to go to phone numbers, and you should get this screen here. Then you're going to come up here at top right, add phone number. We'll talk about number pools, verified caller ID at a later time, but you're going to press add phone number. All right, now you can select where you are in the world, and I would suggest looking for a phone number that is local to you. So I'm going to press filter, and in my region, 970720303 are popular numbers. So I'm just going to type in 970 and I'll say I want that to be the first part of the number. Apply, and then it'll show me any numbers that are available, and it'll tell you what actual city may come up on the caller ID. Now, if you don't have a number that you see and you want, it could be a number of reasons. Like for instance, where I live, 303 is not that easy to get. That's the older one that they ran out of. So we'll see if any even pop up. Yeah, there's none that pop up. So it could be that instance to where they literally ran out of numbers. And usually in those places, there'll be another one. Like here, they started using 720 after 303 ran out. So as you can see, there are 720 numbers. You can periodically check it. One could pop up if it's really that important to you, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's just a phone number. I would try to get the local area code, in your area. Like I said, 720, 303, 970 is all popular where I live, so any of those would work for me. And then you literally just click the one you want and press proceed to buy. You will see it does cost $1.15 for the phone number. And just like that, the phone number is purchased. Now there is one little caveat I do want to mention that I do think is important. I haven't had it happen to me, but I know it happens, is sometimes you buy a number that belonged to somebody else that receives a ton of spam or phone calls. If that happens to you, the best thing to do is just get rid of that number and buy a new one. I've bought 12 numbers so far and used them, and that hasn't happened, but I have seen on forums that it can happen, and unfortunately, there's no real way to know this ahead of time. The point is it's rare, but if all of a sudden you just start getting a ton of calls, especially if it's spam, and by a ton I mean like over 10 a day, I would just get rid of that number. The numbers I have never get calls, so you really shouldn't be getting any calls on those numbers because they're unregistered. But anyway, you can click that pencil icon to immediately go into here, or after you've bought a number, you can click there, press edit configuration, and mess with stuff here. So you will notice that it says default number here. So if I buy multiple numbers, only one will be the default number, and that is the number that if you go to make a call, it's going to default to that number. You can change it to make a call from another number, but it'll default to this number. Also, at the time of this recording, when you go to send a text message, it's going to send from your default number, and right now you're not able to pick a different number to text from, but that is something planned and will be coming up in a future update. All right, so you'll notice that you have this big glaring warning right here basically saying this account is not A2P compliant, and it does go by your account. So once you get this certification, all the numbers you buy and put on this account will be A2P compliant. You don't have to do it for every single phone number, but if you want to send text messages, you need to set this up, and you can watch the video on how to do that. You can rename these with this friendly name here. You can change it here to like main number or whatever you'd like. I'm just going to go over what all of these are. However, there's another video that goes over all the call routing options and how it works. So if you're looking for that, I would suggest watching that video. So I'm just going to call this the example number. Now you can put in a phone number here. I just made that up. It's not a real number, and what'll happen is when somebody calls that number, it's going to forward to that number that I just put in there. That's what the forward calls to does. Again, you'll want to watch the video that explains the call routing and how it's configured, but I would suggest for your default number to not use this. There's an order of operations, and the forward call number is pretty low down the totem pole, so it just, in my opinion, is safer and better to use another method if you want that on your default number. However, if it is a other number, like one that you bought for marketing or for a new employee, that's an option. You can just say, hey, I want all the calls to forward to a different phone number. If you hover over all these little eyes, it'll give you a description, And what this one is saying is when you get a phone call and you see like, oh, this is this number calling me, like Jim or somebody, or sometimes you see that scam likely, it's going to do that by default. But if you want to turn this on, what it's going to do is it's going to show you this phone number, the actual number that like this one that they called. So this option right here is you can verify another phone number. So like your business phone number, you can verify that, which is basically just proving that you own it. And then you can click here and you can say, I want your phone number. It'll show up after you verify it to be the caller ID when I call from this phone number. So when you actually make a call from this phone number, what the other person would see is whatever phone number you pick here, which could be any phone number you can prove that you own and verify. So this right here is a feature that just helps improve call reporting, and essentially it makes the system know 100% for sure if you answered the phone or not. Voicemail detection isn't perfect, but this should be. And basically when you answer the phone, you'll have to press any key to complete the call. The whisper message is what is going to be played at the beginning of the call. So you don't have to use the enable call feature with this, but to go over both scenarios, if you have this on, when you answer, it's going to say whatever you type in here. So in this case, you would answer the phone and say, whatever you type here, in like a robotic voice. Now, another thing you can put is the unique key for one of these fields. You can see all these fields have a different unique key. And if you put this, it'll say call from and whatever the lead source is. So if it's blank, it's just going to say call from. If it's not blank, it'll say call from website or whatever. Now, if you have the enable call feature on with this, it's kind of nice because if you get a call from something you don't want, you just don't press a key, you hang up and you're good. But if this is off, it'll say call from the lead source and then it'll connect to the call. Now, call recording, if you turn that on, it wants you to type in, what will be said before the conversation. I would look up your local laws and follow them. I believe some places you do have to inform the user you're recording the call, so you can just say something like, what is suggested here? This call may be recorded for quality purposes or assurance or whatever you want to put. And again, if the law permits it, I think in some areas you don't have to let the other party know. Only one party has to be aware, which obviously you will be. And the way you do that is you actually press spacebar because you do have to put something there and press save, and then nothing will be said. Incoming timeout, you turn that on. Basically, it's how long will it ring until it goes to voicemail. Outgoing call timeout is how long will it ring when you make a call from this number before it gives up. Now, this ring incoming call to all users, you can add up to 7 users. If you turn this on and you pick somebody or multiple people, everyone's phone is going to ring when this number is called, and whoever answers first will receive the call. So that's how you buy a number and what the configure settings